My name is Lauren Steinkoff, and today I'm going to be doing a speech about why horses should not be shipped overseas for slaughterhouses with the intent of human consumption. So my goal is to inform the dangers of slaughtering horses, especially for human consumption. The slaughter methods are barbaric and they're not instantaneous, so the animals often suffer for long periods of time before they completely pass away. As a horse owner, it's extremely alarming to think about the statistics that I'm going to mention in this speech, especially since I saved one of my horses from the slaughter pipeline. So to think that my horse could have gone through this is pretty upsetting. So over the last 20 years, horse slaughter has been on the rise. On average, 80,000 horses are shipped to Canada or Mexico yearly to be slaughtered. Not only is this a unconventional way of regulating the horse population in the United States, but it also comes with serious consequences. More often than not, horse meat is not used properly when a horse has been slaughtered. A lot of the times it gets sent to food plants in Europe, all over the world, really, to be used in other forms of meat products to stretch out the quantity of meat. So this brings an alarming amount of health risks. Horse slaughter needs to be banned because it's incredibly inhumane. Horse meat is not intended for human consumption, and there's no way of regulating medications a horse may consume in its lifetime. So there have been some protests in the last several years on the meat products that we eat as a country as a whole. So Purdue chicken, Fairlife cows, stuff like that. There's not really anything about horse meat, so I'm trying to inform everyone today about the dangers of potentially consuming horse meat. So horse meat, unlike cattle and chicken and pig meat, is not intended for human consumption. Almost all horses in captivity receive some form of medication during their lifetime that could potentially kill humans because once it's entered the horse's meat, the meat has become toxic. So a quote by Dan Lawyer is, "In addition to potential bute contamination, slaughter opponents argue that horse owners almost universally give their horses medications, antibiotics, ointments, warmers, and other substances labeled not for animals intended for human consumption." Another quote I found by the Humane Society was, "Horses are gathered from random sources of various stages of their life, and there is no system in the United States to track medications and veterinary treatments given to them. So there's no way to ensure that the horse meat is safe for human consumption." So, unlike cattle and pigs and chickens, horse meat is not intended for human consumption, so they are not raised from birth to be treated that way. So during a horse's lifetime, it can receive numerous vaccinations and medications that are toxic if consumed by a human. My horse personally is on a medication called Osphos, which is a biphosphonate, which helps humans with bone loss. But to think about, the size of the pill is about this large. And if it affects a 1,000-pound animal, what is that going to do to a human who weighs maybe 150 pounds? So even if the medication is not deemed toxic to human, many have not had enough clinical tests done to see if the possible effects it may have if it is consumed by a human. So certain medications such as PBZ can cause bone marrow toxicity in humans, which can be extremely toxic. And a quote by Dan Lawyer, again, is that this led to the conclusion that consuming American horse meat poses a serious health risk. So not only do we have to be more aware of what we're eating, but also the potential risks that come with eating it. So the ground beef we may be getting from ShopRite or King's or Acme may not be entirely beef meat product. It may have contaminants of horse meat products in it as well. So not only is this alarming, but scary. Imagine biting into a burger at Burger King and there's horse meat in it. That's not a Whopper. That's absolutely crazy to think about. Horse meat products could potentially be in everyday foods that we consume. So horse slaughter is not only dangerous for everyone involved, but it's extremely inhumane. You know, you're dealing with 1,500-pound animals that they're ultimately facing death, and horses can totally sense the danger and can totally sense that something is about to go wrong. so they're going to act out. It can not only hurt the people within the slaughterhouses, but also the animals themselves. So, a quote by the ASPCA, horses bound for slaughter, who may include pregnant horses, foals, and horses who are injured or blind, are commonly shipped for 24 hours at a time in crowded trucks without food, water, or rest. So basically, they're crammed into trucks with no basic care needs, ultimately facing their death. So not only is that inhumane, but it's not fair to the animals that are getting shipped in these crates so small. So a huge problem with slaughtering horses is that since America has banned the slaughter on American ground, they have to be shipped to Canada, Mexico, which means that they're going to be on trucks for a lot longer of time. So about 44% of American horses are sent to Canadian facilities for humane regulated slaughter, but the other 56% are shipped to Mexico, where they use a method called puntilla knife, which includes repeated stabbing of the animal's neck until the spinal cord is severed. I don't know about you, but I would not enjoy that personally. And that is a quote by Dan Lawyer. Another quote is, horses are skittish by nature. They have a flight or fight response. So, which makes accurate pre-slaughter stunning difficult. So you can't really stun a horse right before you kill it. So basically they just suffer for a long amount of time. 70% of America's population would like to ban horse slaughter. So I think that we need to get that number a lot higher to help regulate that the horses are treated fairly before they are euthanized. Horse slaughter has been around for decades. It's most likely not going to go away. So there are more humane ways of doing so, such as euthanasia by vet. There's a bunch of ways that you can do it. Horses have been used as transportation for years. So to treat a horse like a car, you can't really just throw it away. If horses need to be put down, there are alternate ways to do it so peacefully. If this is a form of if euthanasia is not affordable for many people, which it's not, it can be very expensive, there are other alternatives. You can send them to adoption centers, anything. There are plenty of alternatives, but horse slaughter should not be the end all. This is the end of my speech. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask now. Thank you.